GVO Squad. It's Leslie Gang. Hey, hey. It's Leslie Gang. GVO Squad.
Good morning, good evening, or good night. This is your boy Nesby here with another Trans Men Speak. They are taking a chance and sharing their stories. So, GVO Squad, you already know to show them nothing but love and support. These men took the time to show me love and support, and I am so very grateful for them. Tonight, you are Meet Brayden Kofer. May 2017. That was the month that changed my life forever. As of May 24th, 2017, I am a month away from my wedding date, and the only thing going through my mind is how do I tell her? Fear, anxiety, regret. How do I tell the woman that I love that the person she is marrying is living a lie? That the somewhat normal lifestyle we lived as a lesbian couple was going to change forever. Would she leave? Would she think of me differently? These are the questions that were running a mile a minute through my head. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I am sitting at my desk. The conversation I am staring at right now via text is where my future in laws will sit at our wedding, and whether or not we should get the throne chairs. I don't know what a throne chair is, but okay. The only thing running through my mind is building up the courage to tell you. I have typed it a million times, but I could never hit the send button. The nausea is starting to set in, and I know that I need to just do it. At this point, I have already told her that I need to tell her something very important. She is eagerly waiting my response, as she is begging me to just tell her what it is. Message delivered. Will she reply? What will she say? Should I have waited to do this in person? Why didn't I just tell her in person? And why did I wait so long? My phone vibrates on my desk, and I'm scared to look. It's her. I can hear the people in my office chatting about something. It must be funny. I hear laughs radiate throughout the room. And all I am thinking about is what her response will be. With my marriage possibly on the line, I go to pick up my phone. That's it. This is the response I received. I finally feel like I can breathe again, and we agreed to continue the conversation in person. A few hours had passed, and I find myself walking down the trail with my future wife. She then begins to tell me her emotions and thoughts. While she is wishing that I would have told her sooner, she is more supportive than I could have ever imagined. Her love for me is not based off of gender. She loves me for the person I am on the inside, and she will always support me no matter what. These are the words that I will never forget. I don't care if you're Brett or Brad, she said to me as we both laughed together, trying to make light of the situation. She then begins to talk to me about some of her concerns, one of which is in regards to my future stepson. In the midst of all of this, there was a 5-year-old little boy who was beginning to look at me as another mother figure. Just the beginning, just at the beginning of the year, we had a conversation about what he would like to refer to me as. I want to call you mama, he said. Now I have to figure out how to explain to a child that I don't want to be a girl anymore and he can no longer call me mama. A month goes by and we have our beautiful wedding. We went on a family vacation and began discussing the best ways to explain it to him. With the help of my mother-in-law, we used small terminology and did our best to explain that sometimes people just have a feeling that they don't want to be a girl or a boy anymore. He easily related it to him wanting to play dress up sometimes. About 1 minute later, he was asking me if it was time to head to the beach. It did not seem to faze him. Bub is the name he decided to start calling me. The next stage was telling my family members, starting with my parents. Oh God, my grandparents. What were they going to think of me? The person I had to tell was my mom. She was going to be the easiest, but when I was standing in front of her, trying to find the words, it just seemed so hard. I knew in my mind that she was going to be the most accepting person in the family, and yet I still couldn't bring myself to just say it. I'm transgender. With the support of my wife by my side, I told her. Her immediate reaction was, "Well, what about your wife?" As she stared at my wife. I could feel my mother's concern that she may leave me. With my four siblings, my mother and father gathered in one room. "Are you pregnant?" Was my dad's first instinct when I said we have something important to tell them. After a couple chuckles and us assuring him that we were not pregnant, I told them. It was starting to become easier to tell people. My father seemed to be surprised by this information and didn't seem to have much to say. My siblings had more questions and wanted to know about the process. I knew telling my grandparents was going to be the hardest. At this point, I had dropped out of college, was no longer playing softball, and was getting married at a young age. They were fully accepting of me being a lesbian, but me transitioning was a whole nother ballpark. I sent the text message to my grandmother, telling her that I needed to come over and see her. I had something important to tell her. A couple of hours later, I found myself sitting in her room on her bed, feeling overwhelmed. With tears almost at my eyes, I told her. Her first concern was my health and the changes that my body would be going through. But as I was leaving to go home, she said to me, "Some of us are made of stripes and not solid colors, and that is okay." I began telling the rest of the family immediately and put out a post on Facebook for all my friends and other relatives. Office etiquette, working in a corporate office setting and dealing with large account customers who knew me as my birth name would make this transition difficult. The question running through my mind now is, how am I going to tell all four of our branches that I will no longer be going by my birth name, and not only will I be changing my name but my gender. At this point, my close friends at work already knew, but the next person I had to tell was my supervisor. To my surprise, she was very supportive and gave me advice of the next steps to take in order to maintain a professional reach. She recommended that I go to HR and start there. A whole new level of stress and worry were now upon me as I got ready to explain to my HR what was going on. While I sat in the office chair across from her with the door closed, I began to explain everything. Luckily, she reassured me that this was going to be handled well and made me feel like I was a very normal matter. She advised me that she was going to have to tell the big bosses, such as the owners, and make them aware of the change. We decided that I would wait until I legally changed my name to change it in the office place. September 14th, 2019, day one of testosterone. I am sitting in the waiting room next to my wife, waiting for them to call my name. Brayden, the nurse, called. It was my turn. This was the first time I had ever been called that name out of my home. I almost didn't respond. I am walking back to the room and I can feel my heartbeat pacing faster. I am wondering if it's going to hurt and what changes are going to come and how fast. Not to mention, I hate needles. Me too, bruh. Me too. I sit down on the chair and the nurse begins to ask me questions. The main question I remember is if I had a good support team behind me. I felt that question came up over me 10 times. The doctor comes in and begins to explain how to give myself the shot and what to expect. She walks out of the room to prepare my first shot ever. All I could think about is the question, do you have a good support team? I am thinking about how lucky I am to have this big support team behind me, and yet how sorry I feel for people who don't. Shout out to Brayden. Shout out to Brayden. Says, breathe in, breathe out. My first T shot was done. 8 months later, I find myself with a full face of hair, a deeper voice, and a whole new mindset. I am 19 days out from having my top surgery done and yet still wanting something more. But it isn't something for myself. I want to help others that are struggling and going through the fear, anxiety, and regret. I want people to know that there are others out there that have felt what they are feeling and have survived. The Brotherhood is a safe place to express any questions, tips, thoughts, or emotions. It is more than just a Facebook page. It is a family. We may not be blood or even live in the same country, but we are all going through the same thing. And maybe it isn't you that is transitioning. Maybe it is a friend, a spouse, a brother, a sister, or a child. This page is for you as well. Learn from each other and build each other up. Love is love. Welcome to the Brotherhood. I just want to give a shout out to Brayden for reaching out to me and sharing his story. I greatly appreciate it. And the Brotherhood is a Facebook page that if you are struggling and need help, you should definitely check out. The Brotherhood on Facebook.